everybody doing? Welcome to Red Alert Diaries live with Tanya E. I'm glad I get the chance to see you again. And if you listen to this morning's episode, then you know that we have to talk about how to balance work and life. There are tools and strategies that you can use. And in this morning's episode, I shared a few elements that can support you on the journey. And I hope you go back and listen because those are some things that I needed to use in the very beginning. You see, when you are fresh out of a divorce and having to figure out how to reshape your schedule, get your babies together, and still learn a new task, oh, it's hard. We have difficulties sometimes when we have to juggle too many things at one time. So, one of the things I would love for you to do, if you find yourself in a position where life just keeps lifing and you are struggling through the process, pause. In some previous episodes, if you listen to me, you know that I've shared take 5 minutes. We need to orient ourselves before we walk into another journey. When you're learning brand new things on the job, when you're figuring out how to reallocate and reset your house, give yourself the space and grace to do it. Because we often rush into doing things because we think that if I don't get it done now, I will never get it done. And because it's just me, I've got to do all the jobs right now. No, you don't. Be patient with you. If you are balanced, then you can help the rest of your world get a little more stable because we're always juggling just a little bit here and a little bit there, and a little bit is okay. But most of the time, what happens to us is we're overloaded. It is such a drastic change that we struggle. So if you're starting a new job and still trying to figure out how to put your life back together after some chaotic moment, give yourself clarity that you know what you're doing. You were hired on that job because you know what you're doing. So trust in your ability there. The rest of it is just learning what they are having as a part of their process. On most jobs, they give you what's called a docent, someone that's already seasoned, that's already there, that can walk you through some of the basic elements. Most jobs give you a 30-day or 60-day training session. Within that time period, one of the first things I encourage you to ask is if for some reason the person that's supposedly helping you is not available, ask them where can you go for immediate support. Is there some folder or a file or a SharePoint site or a website or something that they already have in place? I, because the developer in me and the nerd in me just wants to make certain that I know where it is, I ask where the procedures are. If you know wherever that new office or that new job's procedures are, you can often find the information that you need on your own. And I do encourage you for that first couple of weeks that you're on that new position, use your lunch hour at your job as time to work on studying those procedures. When I started a new position, and I've had to reset a lot of times, many of you know that story. In my reset mode, when I find myself in a new space and place, I ask these questions. Where can I get immediate support? Where are the procedures located? And because a lot of you know I'm dyslexic, I ask them to bring me a fresh copy. Lots of times, if someone has to go bring you a physical copy of some things, they want to make certain they give you everything they can possibly give you. So I usually get extras. You don't have to have a disability like I do, but if you do, use what you have as a superpower. You see, being dyslexic is a superpower for me to maximize the use of my time. And I have found that when I ask for certain things that I need, people try to maximize the use of their time by giving me more than what I asked for. So you may find yourself in a place where you are positioned to get greater insight on how to effectively do your job, get more clarity about how to settle your nerves because you know where to go. A lot of times, often, we walk through that place of turmoil because we don't know where to go. It's the unknown that gives us angst. It's the unknown that causes us to worry. It's the unknown that often puts you in a place where you don't feel like you're balanced at all. Now, having said all of that, in this morning's episode, I shared that if you're parenting, Doing this thing with your kids on your own, create a position where you have 3 levels deep of support. And the reason I said 3 is because I had to walk through and tumble through all of it. I shared have that immediate childcare element because if you are the person where the school calls because you got to go pick up your kid, yeah, the school calling you at the most inopportune time will be that moment where you have to search for somebody to help you and you can't. So get yourself support in advance. Preparing in advance gives you a lot of options. First, it settles your soul so that you're okay if you find yourself in a position where things start going a little awry because you've got measures in place. I had my girlfriend who lived not too far from me. She watched the boys with me. She was like my before and after care because I had to work early in the morning. So I had to get my kids to her and she walked them to the bus stop. And then in the evening, I was almost home, but there was a 15-minute gap between the time that I got home and the kids got off the school bus. And I didn't want them home by themselves. So in that small window, they went to her house. And when I got home, I went straight to her house and brought them home. And if I got stuck in traffic, because I'm a native of Washington, D.C., there are moments when you're trying to go around 495. The Beltway is not kind. And it still baffles me how we have a whole circle where there are no traffic lights and people. Okay, my bad. Sidetrack. So if you find yourself having to get stuck in traffic, that's where I was. Put that measure in place. So the boys were already with her. She was my first level. My second level was my children's godmother. She had a little more flexibility on her job because she had some season elements. She had tenure, you could say that. She'd been there for a while, so she, being one of the senior personnel, had a little more flexibility in some parts of what she could do on her job. And if I could not get my neighbor to get the boys, I would call her, my second level. She was already registered on the school as a contact person that can pick them up. Lots of schools give you the opportunity to have 3 people that can be called for pickup if you're unavailable. Identify who they are immediately. That way you have some support because you're going to need a village to get you through your journey. So identify your village, identify your resources, and put them as emergency contacts along with yourself. The third level I had was trying to prepare basics at home. When I'm getting home from work, sometimes if I'm running late, I don't have the opportunity to prepare the meal or get things started for bed. And my children being 6 years apart, that was a major blessing because I had to help the oldest child get incorporated in some more responsibilities. Your children can do a lot more than you think. And because I started off early conditioning my children while I was still married to start functioning on a little bit more independence. When I found myself in the aftermath of my divorce, I just had to springboard that a little bit more, gird them up a little bit more, ensure that they recognize you've been built for this. Since you were 2 years old, you've been picking up your toys. And every year that my children got older for their birthday, I made it a big, joyful thing. It was like fun time. You're 3 years old. You have a new responsibility. By the time my children were 4 years old, they knew the word responsibility. They recognized it was something else that they needed to do. So when I found myself with a 4-year-old and a 10-year-old by myself after divorce, they recognized new responsibilities. And because I'd already made it seem like it was big fun, big joy, all the things, they didn't mind when they had to be asked to do one more thing. Give them age appropriate tasks. A lot of times we find ourselves as parents constantly trying to pick up toys here and there, doing those various things. They can pick up their own toys. They were big enough to take them out. They should be big enough to put them back. And structure their room or wherever you want to have it in such a place that they can easily get it themselves. And so for that, when the 4-year-old was putting away the toys, the 10-year-old was laying out meals that are already prepared. Meal prep, before it was a big thing, was something that I really had to walk into. I shared in this morning's episode that I fixed three vegetables, tongue tied, yeah, because I'm a little bit excited about this. I fixed three vegetables, three meats, and three starches on Sunday so that I could have that sparsed out through the week. So that if I got home a little bit later than I desired, the boys were able to just put the meal on their plate. I would take it out of the fridge, put it on the table, and they can scoop their own on their plate while I went inside another part of the house. That was my third line of defense, helping me recuperate some lost time. Because there are some of us that have to work a job after the full-time job. Now, I was in a position where I had a window of opportunity between my first job and my second job. In that window, if I got caught up off the first one, I didn't have time to fix the meal that they needed to have fixed or prepare their plates. So, fixing their meal in advance on Sunday, letting them scoop their own plates. The oldest one could put it in the microwave. While they're busy doing all of that, that bought me 15 minutes. And in that 15 minutes, I tried to play catch up, getting dressed, setting up whatever else I needed so that they were stable. Because what I needed to do was ensure that my children were ready to ride with me because I had the type of job in the evenings that they could go to as long as they stayed quiet. They could stay with me. And I took them. That gave me my third line of defense, preparation at home, ensuring that they knew what was necessary, making sure that getting new responsibilities was a fun thing so that when they had to get new responsibilities, I didn't have to fight. When you are working on advancing on your job, you need to have support measures in place. So I'm hoping that whatever I've shared today has resonated with you. And if it has, then it's time for you to reset. So like, comment, and share this information for someone that's coming behind you. Let them know that if you find yourself in a position where you're trying to get ahead on a job, figure out your immediate line of resources. Get your home prepared in advance to support you. And as the final thing I want to leave you with tonight, as you are working on climbing the ladder, because you know that the job that you have will get you into a better position, think about the time frame of how long you will stay where you are. Some of us, in the aftermath of our divorce, just took a job because we had to take a job to feed our children. But don't get stuck in that starter job. Do your absolute best. Operate with excellence there. Because you operating in excellence everywhere that you go opens up other doors. Because if you have excellent skill sets on some organizations, wherever you start, someone may see that and give you insight about how to move into a better direction. Because on one of my jobs, I started as an administrative assistant. But in that administrative assistant position, I operated in excellence. Every single task to the best of my ability, regardless of what it was. And someone else in a different part of the organization saw how well I received the information that was given to me, how much effort I put forth in ensuring that it was done well, and opened up new opportunities. So that starter position turned into a better position, and I didn't have to leave my agency to do it. Operate in excellence. Do what you need to do, because those starting positions will help you get assurance so that when you're ready to transition, you can balance some things out a little bit better. In the meantime, I'm hoping that this helps you, and I look forward to seeing you next. This is Tanya E. Hood, walking in my purpose, and I want you to do the same.